Hello students, in this video I am going to start with chapter 11, The Human Eye and the Colorful World from 10th class NCERT science textbook. This chapter starts with actually the structure of human eye and effects of vision. But we know that due to coronavirus this year's syllabus has been reduced, so many topics are deleted from this chapter. And so human eye and the defects are deleted. So I'll be doing those topics video later on. But let us first do the topics which are covered in this year's syllabus. So our first topic here will be refraction through a glass prism. I have discussed this topic in one of my previous videos also, which is in the last chapter light. But here I have to do it again and I have to consider more detail. Okay. So already you know what is a glass prism. A glass prism you must have seen in your labs. I have shown in my previous video. It is made up of glass having three rectangular faces and its upper and lower portion is triangular in shape. Okay, top and lower portion is triangular in shape and sides are rectangular. So if we have a glass prism, we are considering the cross section of the glass prism. Okay. Now here this is glass prism. I have labeled its boundary ABC, cross section of the glass prism. Here we have air. Air is the medium in which the prism is placed. Now refraction through a glass prism. You know what is refraction? The bending of light as it enters from one medium into another. And I hope you remember the cause of refraction also, because the speed of light changes when it enters into different medium. So the bending or refraction takes place. So let us consider here monochromatic light, a ray of monochromatic light. Monochromatic means single color. It means this light is containing only one color and hence only one frequency. Okay, so monochromatic light ray is incident here. This is an incident ray. It strikes this boundary of the prism. Okay, and here the change of medium will take place. So first of all here you should draw the normal. Normal means perpendicular with the dotted line, as you know here. Okay, this is perpendicular to this side AB. So when this incident ray reaches here, strikes here, it enters into the prism. And we know that speed of light reduces in the prism, and hence we know that this glass is optically denser than air. So light is entering from optically rarer medium into optically denser medium. We know the refraction will take place for I, which is not equal to 0 always. And so in this case the bending will be, yes, towards normal or away from the normal. It should be towards the normal. So this ray, this is an incident ray. This dotted I have shown just the direction of incident ray. Okay, I have extended this. So this is a normal. So this refracted ray should lie anywhere between the original incident direction and this normal. So between these two dotted lines our refracted ray should lie. So now it has bent towards the normal. This is a normal. Okay, so this is a refracted ray. Now so PQ is an incident ray, QR is a refracted ray for the first refraction that takes place at this point Q. Now again when the refracted ray is traveling here, at this point R, it is going to come out of the prism. It means again the change of medium will take place. Again the light is going to change its medium from glass to air. But now it is from optically denser to optically rarer medium. So in this case, the ray will bend away from the normal. So this is the original direction. So away from the normal. This is the normal. So it will be this way. So you have to show it below this, bending away from the normal. So PQ is our incident ray. QR is a refracted ray for the first refraction that takes place at Q. And for the second refraction that takes place at R, QR is our incident ray and RS is a refracted ray. But overall when we consider the complete ray diagram, we call this PQ as incident ray, QR as refracted ray and RS as emergent ray, as this is a ray which emerges out of the prism. Okay, so let us see the angles. Now always angle of incidence is angle between the normal and the incident ray. So this is I. For this case, R1 is the angle of refraction, that is refracted ray, angle between the refracted ray and the normal. For the second refraction, R2 is the angle of incidence and this E is the angle of refraction. So two refractions, so two angle of incidences and two angle of refractions. But overall we use these symbols only, and instead of calling this as angle of refraction for the second refraction, we consider this is angle of incidence and this E is angle of emergence. Angle between the emergent ray, that is RS, and the normal at the point of emergence, that is the normal at R. Okay, so one thing we notice that twice the refraction takes place through a glass prism, first towards the normal, then away from the normal. But in both the cases, here also, the ray is bending downwards away from this angle. Okay, and in fact, BC is a side opposite to angle A of prism. What is angle of prism? We have done this before also. Angle between the two refracting surfaces of the prism. So if this is our incident ray, this is our emergent ray, and here the refractions are taking place. So we can consider this AB and AC are the two refracting sides. And here when we consider the complete prism, we have two refracting surfaces here, AB side and AC side. So here angle A is the angle between two refracting surfaces. So this is angle of prism. And side which is opposite to angle of prism, that is BC, is called as base of prism. So if we look at both the refractions, we see that refraction always takes place in such manner that the ray bends towards the base of the prism. So whenever light enters into the prism, it bends towards the base of the prism. And also remember, whatever we state, that we are considering that the surrounding medium is air, which is optically rarer than the glass materials. Compared to glass prism, it is optically rarer. Okay. So hope you have understood these all things we have recapped, and otherwise also you have understood this. Now let us see what is different here. What you don't know is delta. What is delta? See, this is our incident ray which I have extended forward here. This is my emergent ray. This I have extended backward. Okay. So this angle delta is what? It is the angle between the incident ray and the emergent ray. This angle is called as angle of deviation. So angle of deviation is angle between the incident ray and the emergent ray when light passes through a glass prism. So hope now you know what is angle of prism, what is base of prism, what is angle of deviation, and what is angle of emergence. So now one thing you know, that whenever light enters into the prism, light always bends towards the base of the prism. In this case, when you change I, it means when you change this inclination of the angle of this incident ray, when you change I, this R1, R2 are going to change. This E is going to change. This delta is going to change. But for a given prism, A is fixed. And you should remember, in this case, this equation is always true for a given prism. A plus delta is I plus E. So for a given prism, A is fixed. When you change I, these all will change, and E will change in such manner that I plus E is always equal to A plus delta. So in this case, you should remember that A plus delta is always equal to I plus E when light passes through a glass prism. Remember, when we have done refraction through a glass slab, in the glass slab, we have one relation that I is always equal to E. Angle of incidence is always equal to angle of emergence. Okay, but here I and E have this relation which is always true. Now see that, suppose we know that, suppose if I take my incident ray to be in this direction, let us say if I reverse the arrows, then I know that my SR will be incident ray and RQ will be my refracted ray and QP will be my emergent ray. Okay, so we know that then E and I values will be the values of angle of incidence and angle of emergence. So knowing this, we can say that For both the cases, delta will remain fixed. It means for I, whether the value is I or whether its value angle of incidence is I or whether angle of incidence is E. In both the cases, angle of deviation delta remains the same. So I can consider here, I can write here, and you should remember, for each value of delta, there are two values of I. One is I and one is E. Okay. Now, so when I change this I, delta is going to change. Remember that. When I change this I, delta is going to change. And if I draw the graph and you do this experiment by changing the values of I, and suppose every time you repeat this experiment in the lab, okay, you can do it. It is one of the activities given in 12th class book also. It is a practical, and even in 10th class you can do it. But maybe this year you won't be doing it. So when you draw the different this ray diagrams for a prism for different angles of I, you will see that different values of delta are obtained for different values of I. And then if suppose you draw the graph of delta versus I, angle of deviation versus angle of incidence, then you will see that as I increases first, see, I is increasing. As I increases first, delta decreases. This is a graph you are going to get when you plot it in your lab. This will be the nature of graph, and from the graph we can see that as I increases, delta decreases, and then it reaches some minimum value, and again when I is increasing, it starts increasing. So overall we can say as I increases, first delta decreases, reaches a minimum value, and again it starts increasing. From the graph we can see that, suppose I take this value of delta as delta 1. So just draw a normal on this axis. Let it intersect the graph at two places. We can see it intersects the graph at two places. So the corresponding values, by dropping perpendicular from these 2 points on the angle of incidence axis, we see that we get two values of I, and I can say if one is I1, other is E1. So for two values of I, here I1, E1, I am getting the value delta 1. And if we repeat this for some other point, for other value of delta, let us say delta 2, again I can see I get two values of I. They are represented here by I2, E2. So for each value of delta, I can see from the graph also that there are two values of I1 and I and E. But you see here, as I increases, delta decreases, and at this point, at the lowest point, this is the minimum value of delta. So I have written delta M, and it is called as angle of minimum deviation. Okay, so we can call it as minimum angle of deviation also. Okay, so this minimum angle of deviation, okay, or angle of minimum deviation, we can say, this is the angle for which I has only one value. If I draw a perpendicular on this delta axis at delta M for this minimum value, I see that this perpendicular is intersecting the graph only at one point. So there are no two values of I, there is only one value of I, and in this case we can say that I is equal to E. So from the graph I get the condition for delta M. We can say delta is minimum when angle of incidence and angle of emergence are having same values, or they are equal. So we have got one condition. If I ask you, give me the condition for angle of minimum deviation, you can say it is a case when angle of incidence and angle of emergence have equal values, or they are same. Okay, and when this will be the case, we have this diagram. Here I have not shown delta M. You can produce the incident ray, you can produce this emergent ray, and the angle between the produced incident and emergent ray will be delta M in this case. You can see this figure looks quite symmetrical on both the sides. Here I is equal to E. And one thing more you should remember, whenever I is equal to E, delta is minimum and this refracted ray is parallel to base of the prism. So for angle of minimum deviation, two things you can remember. One, I is equal to E, and secondly, refracted ray is parallel to base. Wait, I'll draw this angle of deviation now. So see in this figure, when you extend this incident ray, okay, you just do this by dotted line, okay, and when you extend this emergent ray backwards, this is angle between extended incident ray and emergent ray. So this angle now will represent it by delta m because it is a case of minimum deviation, angle of minimum deviation. Okay, so in this case I and E are equal, the figure looks symmetrical and refracted ray is parallel to base of the prism. Although this graph is not in your syllabus, but you should do this because I have noticed in the MCQs for the entrance exams, such questions related to these things can be asked. Okay, I hope this topic is clear to you. We'll continue with this in the next class. But do remember that in this case we have considered monochromatic light, refraction of monochromatic light through a glass prism. Thank you, students.